My name is Dennis Holak and I work for Link Community Development as the country director. So about 6 months ago, we launched up a project that was looking at scaling up gender equality, safeguarding and inclusion practices. And our interest was to check what factors normally promotes or facilitates government to scale up some of these proven practices. And so we did a baseline, we also did a kickoff, and then we did an internal data collection. And today we are here to validate the findings from the internal data collection to form part of our internal research findings under the GPE funded project in Uganda.
What's the name of the project?
So this project is called Scaling Up Gender Equality, Inclusion and Safeguarding Practices, done across 3 countries of Uganda, Malawi and Ethiopia. And the Uganda component is being handled by Link Community Development Uganda in partnership with the Ministry of Education and Sports.
What's the scope of the study?
The scope of the study transcends 3 countries. We are looking at Malawi, Ethiopia and Uganda. And in Uganda, we are looking at Bunyoro sub-region because it's a follow-up study on the project that we implemented in Hoima, Chikube and Bulisa that is looking at school transformation through enriching accountability and resilience. And there were a lot of practices that were really taken up by government. For example, the school improvement planning has become one of the things that the government is trying to do across all schools. Districts are assessed on the basis, districts especially within the education departments are assessed on the basis of whether they have a school improvement plan or not. And schools are required to have school improvement plans, and this is some of the practices that we are saying, yes, we want to check what enabled government to scale up some of these practices.
What are some of the key findings of the study?
Great question. So we've found out that there are a number of barriers that limits government from scaling up some of the practices. For example, the issues to do with alignment with the existing policy for the government. If the policies are not aligned to the scope of the interventions, it is usually not scaled up. But also we looked at issues around coverage, issues around the scope of the interventions. We've seen issues around resources as a major barrier to scaling up some of these interventions, but also found out that there are a number of enablers. For example, we found that where there is a lot of community involvement at the start of the interventions, it is usually taken when there is strong coordination between the different ministries, it is taken, it is scaled up. Alignment with the national policy is also another serious, significant enabler that enables government to scale up some of these practices.
Oh.
Yeah.
When did this project start?
So this project started, we launched the project in July of last year, in the same venue. And by end of Feb, we'll be making 1 year in implementation of this project. And it's a 3-year project that is going to end in 2027.
What next now after this project draft report?
So that's a good question again. So after this draft report, we now want to come out with the policy guidelines that we will share with the government and see how the government can start co-opting. But we also have some component of capacity building in between to the different stakeholders who are involved in this study, and we see how they can, take forward the recommendations that came through this study.
Kazi-Njema, online, live from Hoima City.